Texans beat the Patriots 41-21. Probably the most complete team victory the Texans have had, with the defense hopping on board with 4 takeaways that helped this turn into the deluge that it was. CJ Stroud, 20 for 31, 192 yards passing on the day, and really a day where the run game with 192 yards was probably the big story. And I think CJ, of all quarterbacks, A, is wired to not care about his passing stats as much as the victory, and B, knows that this team desperately needed a rushing attack, and it finally showed up today. Ironically enough, coincidence, the first time since Joe Mixon has been back healthy, so obviously not a coincidence. First question was, you guys were able to score a lot of points and put some things together. How did that feel as an offense? And thanks to BetUS for sponsoring this video.
Yeah, I felt like we were flowing in all aspects, pass and run. Kind of just slowed down, at the end of the first half. Can't do that. But other than that, I feel like, we were hitting all cylinders.
Yeah, all cylinders. I think that the dinking and the dunking that has to be done, especially with Nico Collins out, was perfect. It was precision. That first drive in the passing game was just precision to Tank Dell, to Stephon Diggs. Dalton Schultz got involved today. Dalton Schultz ended up with how many times? 4 receptions for 27 yards. Should have been 5 receptions, but timely, I think, and against a defense that was really trying to cover up as much of that underneath stuff as possible. It was super physical. Credit to the Patriots. They played their butts off. They're limited in a lot of ways. Offensive line. Next question, what do you feel like helped you get out of that little bit of a lull in the second quarter and the accelerating third?
Just holding each other accountable, and, of course, our defense, getting turnovers, having short fields. That definitely helped. So, I played complimentary football today. Our special teams set us up great, and I think, when you're playing like that, it's hard to be beat.
Yeah, Steven Sims, good job. Nice return there. Also just secure with the football. Very secure with the football. The 4 takeaways were big. I think I know a lot of people. I know. You're looking ahead. You're looking ahead to the Packers. You're thinking down the line to the Chiefs and the Ravens and all of those things. Listen, the secondary as it was today, it was a topic for another video when we don't have CJ Stroud on here. I thought the opportunistic side of the defense gave the offense some short fields. And sorry, I just got distracted by this Aiden Hutchinson news. So that's awful. So yeah, I thought the complimentary part, especially with the defense pulling up their side of the bargain with the takeaways. They'd only had 3 takeaways going into this game, which is one of the lowest in the leagues, especially for a defense that had been harassing the quarterback a lot. It's kind of weird that they didn't have that many takeaways, and they showed up today. Next question was, what was it like in the second half going to the sideline before you could even get your helmet off and sitting on the bench? Good enough? This is the transcript I'm reading from. The defense got you the ball back. That was that real quick turn.
I think it's dope just to, see like what we planned on, worked, you know what I'm saying? So seeing how hard the defense worked, and I don't think we got a turnover in a couple weeks. So, they were really hungry to get a couple and got 4. So, that was pretty dope.
The other big side of that, look, Will Anderson, who's always going to be hand in hand in the conversation with CJ Stroud, man, he showed up big. The three sacks, the deflected pass that led to the interception. That David Tyree style interception that Eric Murray had over the helmet of the offensive player, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Those are little twists of fate that just didn't seem like they'd been going the Texans' way. Eric Murray in man coverage, or didn't show up today, but Jalen Petrie in man coverage. That's things that teams with really good wide receivers are going to target. And, yeah, you got to think down the road about that. Hopefully the health of Lassiter and Jimmy Ward. In particular, there were a couple times today when they were in single high where I would have preferred to have Jimmy Ward back there just for veteran savvy's sake, but that's neither here nor there. Caleb Bullock had a really good day. Next question. CJ, after you hand Joe Mixon the football, what do you see from him as he rumbles into the line? This is what the transcript says. I don't know what the actual question sounded like.
A great vision, hits it as hard as he can, so just a great feel for the game, a great feel to set his blocks up. So when, our O-line is blocking later today and he's setting up blocks, it's a recipe for success. And then, DB comes in and does well as well.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce. Credit to Dameon Pierce. 8 carries for 76 yards. One really long 54-yard run. Joe Mixon, 13 carries for 102 yards with a long of 59. Those were obviously the big ones. I know that, look, early on, I was frustrated. They were running the ball at least for positive yardage. When in that first series, Mixon had ran for 2 yards and 3 yards. I honestly, this is how battered down I've been. I honestly thought, well, it's 3rd and 5, and it's been hard to come by 3rd and 5 because usually one of those runs would have been a stuff for no yardage, and then they would have gotten a penalty somewhere along the way. So I was taking like these meager little crumbs at first, and then it felt like battering the line. The dam broke. They figured out exactly how to attack those fronts. A lot of nice. I think Slowick's understanding that his guys are never going to mash people. The offensive line are not going to mash people physically, so you got to get angles on them. So gap scheme, but not like they're not running duo and powers and everything necessarily. Or if they are, they're doing it off of some zone looks. So it was a good angles game, getting guys pulling or getting guys blocking to collapse the side of a line. That kind of stuff over the last couple weeks. Actually, some of their good plays last week is starting to show up. So maybe they're starting to find their identity a little bit. Next question was talk about the energy Joe Mixon brings as a quarterback of the offense. How do you feel about that energy? What is that?
I would say just his attitude, just the way he comes to work every day, how hard he runs at work, how hard he does everything from studying his plays to really on the practice field, running as hard as he can. You can see he runs like 80 yards every time he touches the ball, so it shows up on tape.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Mixon is his vision, and there were some plays last week where Ogunbowale could have had something, but he just didn't quite get the flow of what was up front as well as Joe Mixon would. So there's that. I think the biggest thing is what I really hope is that there's kind of a synergistic effect between Joe Mixon and the offensive line. The offensive line understanding how and when Joe Mixon's going to hit the hole or how he's going to read the blocking, and an understanding that, man, Joe Mixon's going to take a little bit of an angle or a little bit of a window and do something with it. Hopefully they can build into something more than just, oh, all right, here's a nice run here and there. Just a steady churning and a constant bludgeoning. Constant bludgeoning. That's what I'm into. Question, you and Will are really close. How good was it to see him get those 3 sacks today?
Oh, man, it was super cool. I was super happy for him. He's a dog, so, I'm definitely just proud of him. I know he's been hunting. He always talks about chopping wood, carrying water, so it's good for that to pay off finally.
Chopping wood, carrying water, doing all those things. I don't know if that originally, it's another, I don't want to go into a whole theological thing here. But yes, very, very good that Will Anderson had been getting a boatload of pressures just like Danielle Hunter. The sacks tend to come in bunches, and yes, they do tend to come versus bad teams. Every single pass rusher that's ever accumulated a certain amount of stats has somebody at the end of the season saying, well, yeah, but he did it against the Patriots and the Titans. Do you think Reggie White just took off days versus bad offensive tackles? Yeah, Reggie White got a boatload of sacks versus bad offensive tackles too. It's they come. That's when you feast. I thought that Will, in his 3rd sack, showed a lot of where he's progressed and matured as a pass rusher because he knew that the chip block was coming. He avoided the chip block completely but didn't break stride and then got into his speed rush around the edge. That's the kind of stuff that he wasn't necessarily doing last year. It's just evidence of him being a smarter pass rusher, and it was good to see. And I know that CJ's happy about it too. Let's see. Did you have a second with Drake May at the end of the game? Did you get a chance to talk to him? Ooh, and were you mic'd up?
Yeah, I gave him a little word, try to just give him a little word of encouragement. And, I thought he played really solid, definitely, feel like he'll get better and better as he keeps going.
Given what you've learned over...
And then I think there was a follow-up to that. Given what you've learned, what would you have liked to known when you were at his stage that you now know is valuable?
Honestly, just take completions, stay in the positive, and make guys around you better. I would say those are the 3 things I would, want to know. And and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. And he has a, hopefully a team, helping them. And, that I did last year, I had so many guys helping me. So, definitely hope that helped in what I said. But, like, those three things definitely helped me on top of just being disciplined.
Good to know my screen recording was saved to photos. So that was the D'Amico Ryans press conference that I had done. As far as Drake May goes, I thought he made some smart decisions today. I thought that he did look like he wasn't pressing too hard. I mean, his interception was just a bad throw. I thought he got better as the game went on, and whether you want to credit the Texans defense for that or not, I thought he made some good decisions. One thing, honestly, he threw the ball away when he needed to throw the ball away. And he's had a lot of experience watching Jacoby Brissett play against that really bad offensive line. But he made some smart, like, veteran-type decisions, and I didn't feel like it was too big for him, even though he was getting constantly harassed. I wish he would have made a scowl as CJ was giving him advice, but probably not. Next question. You and Tank are obviously something or other, but blood couldn't make you guys closer. What did it mean to see? I have to go back and try to listen to the audio. I couldn't hear the audio. Blood couldn't make you guys closer. What did it mean to see him be able to get back into the end zone?
Man, words can't explain just how proud of him I am, just how hard it is, to come back from injury and, wasn't really getting the production he wanted early, and to see him, just so motivated this week to, get back and get rolling. I thought he did a great job, not only just, on his play, that stuck out for himself, but also, just his attitude and his mentality, and didn't let his emotions go up and down. He just stay at it, and it paid off for him today.
So, Tank Dell on the day, 7 catches for 57 yards. Stephon Diggs had 6 catches for 77 yards. Stephon was 12.8 yards per catch, which is more than had he been. I mean, like, it wasn't like there were deep shots galore all over the place or anything today. But I had to remind myself before this game, oh yeah, there are a lot of teams that would love to have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell as their top 2 receivers. We've been spoiled by Nico Collins, and hopefully it's only for 3 more weeks that we have to, be nostalgic about Nico. But that it's not like they have a pathetic wide receiving core now that Nico Collins is out, and especially with the return of Joe Mixon. If Joe Mixon weren't back, and if Dameon Pierce hadn't looked like he did today, I mean, as you guys know, I 100% wanted to be proven wrong about my pessimism about Dameon Pierce. So far, including in the first game when he averaged 4 yards per carry on very limited carries. So far, so good, as long as he can stay healthy. Knock on wood, etc. Without Nico Collins, did you feel like everyone adjusted as well as all the involvement, all the play calling?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that. I think, we knew that we needed everybody to step up, and once he did that, it was once everybody took on that challenge, I think we started rolling, and we didn't feel bad for ourselves that Nico wasn't out there. We just try to, pick up the slack and really just be there for one another, and I feel like we did that.
Yeah, the Dalton Schultz getting involved. I think the fact that you had a run game, a credible run game, and where they didn't still run the ball that many. Yeah, I guess they did. There was 28 times, except you take away CJ's 3, 25 carries. The running backs as a whole, and I'd include Cam Akers I think he had negative yardage on the day. Texans running backs were 7.4 yards per carry. Dameon Pierce had 8 carries for 76 yards. Joe Mixon had 13 carries for 102 yards. Somebody had asked me, and I knew it was headed this way, well, yeah, but what were their yards per carry without those big runs? Fair enough. When you have to take away 2 big runs, I feel like maybe I would take away one of those big runs for you, because it is all tied together. Some of the lost runs do set up the bigger runs. However, it was just a little above 3 yards per carry on those runs. So especially in the first half, it did feel like an exercise in futility at times. But I'm trying to look at this as, all right, if Joe Mixon had been out there every week and had played like he did in week 1 and in this game versus I think the Patriots' run defense is probably better than the Colts' run defense, despite some of the other stats and everything. Okay, like, this is classic. All right, run. Maybe it doesn't work out for a little bit, but eventually it breaks through. I'm all on board for it being that kind of a rushing attack, and we just have to learn to be patient because right now we have zero patience for it. We have zero patience. Like in a lot of ways right now, I'm treating Bobby Slowick, current Bobby Slowick, like he's an ex-girlfriend or something, and I'm remembering like bad stuff that had happened in the past, and I'm bringing it up now. I gotta try to wipe the slate clean. This is new Bobby Slowick. We were just dating his identical twin earlier. We can't. Bobby Slowick with Joe Mixon versus Bobby Slowick without Joe Mixon. Two separate entities, and hopefully we won't have to worry about the distinction again this season. Next question. I think for the most part when Tom Brady played, you were in high school, a little college when he finished his career. Did you follow Tom Brady? Is there anything about Brady's game that struck you? So this is clearly from a New England reporter because we all know that, yes, they have a relationship.
Tom Brady played.
Yeah, most definitely. I know Tom now, and a lot of respect for him. Gives me a ton of advice whenever I see him. So, just a really huge fan of his. But, I think the biggest thing that sticks out for me from him is just being a good teammate. And really just helping out your teammates, loving on one another. Being there for each other, and that's every time I talk to him, that's all he talks about.
Yeah, and like Tom Brady was specifically who I was thinking about when you come to talk about quarterbacks not caring if they throw the ball or run the ball on any given play. I mean, the Patriots, one of the best things the Patriots ever did in that entire stretch was that period of time when they were just destroying the Colts. Remember, they would line up with 6 offensive linemen and just destroy them. They'd run for like 250-plus yards. That might have only been one specific season, but in my mind, it was a span that lasted over a decade because I loved it so much. And Brady was all about that. So just whatever it takes on any given day to get the job done, that's how you win championships. Like versatility and ability to win in multiple different ways. That's why I do as much. I know it's frustrating, but I like Slowick's philosophy. He's just got to prove that he can execute it. Because, man, you can let CJ cook or let Jaden Daniels cook or let whomever cook all you want in the regular season. If you're nothing but pass game and and you can't do it on the ground, you're going to come up against an opponent where it upends you. And then you end up being a mirage of an offense. You end up being a good regular season offense. You end up being like the Colts were before when they would beat the snot out of teams all regular season long, and then Peyton Manning would get ejected from the playoffs. It's fake production in a way. So, yeah, Joe Mixon, Damian Pierce, please keep doing what you did today. There's probably a couple offensive plays you would like to have back, but you all still put up 41 points on the board. How good did that feel just to get the offense moving?
Yeah, it felt great. I think, of course, like you said, could have some things back, and I think we definitely left some points out on the field still, but to put that production on there, run and pass was great.
Okay, real quick, I just saw this. Listen, Eric, come on. All right, we're going into week 7. Vikings barely beat the Packers, and they obliterated us. I think the Packers are going to win next week. We're not playing the college football playoff committee game here, all right? The old transitive law, it loses all meaningness in the NFL after a certain time. You just talk about this team beat that team by this much. What's the committee going to think about that? It's a game-by-game deal, man. The secondary, if it's not healthy, I'm going to be nervous about next week. But yeah, don't do that to yourself. It just does not work in the NFL. Before long, we'll have that circle of all the teams that have beat the teams that have beat the teams, and you complete the circle there because basically just that some really good team is going to lose. Don't do that to yourself. Talk to me about their specific matchups and how it all worked. Next question. More than a one-possession game, so you don't have to come down in the last second today. That's all the transcript says.
Yeah, I don't know. A dub is a dub, hard or easy. So and today wasn't easy. It's, just pulled it out faster, So I definitely think that needed to, show that we can win early, but that was great.
Pulling it out faster is usually the scariest of all pullouts. It means you're caught off guard. There's just nothing worse than that. Okay. I think we're good. In regard to Drake and a certain weight class and a certain weight that comes with being the type of quarterback that you are, he wants to be. What advice would you give to him in that regard? The ups and the downs. What have you learned personally, CJ Stroud? Drake. At first I thought it was the rapper Drake, but no, Drake May.
Really just be yourself, everything that got you here would take care of where you want to go, and really just like trust yourself, trust that, you'll eventually figure it out. You'll have bad days, you'll have good days. There's days where you're looking at stuff and like, man, I'm the worst quarterback in the world, but it's always about getting up the next day and keep going. So I would just tell him that, and I told him how much I believed in him, and I hope to see him do well in this league.
Bobby Slowick, he was interesting. He talked about CJ and how, somebody had asked him in his Thursday press conference about CJ's ability to forget mistakes or forget bad plays really quickly. And Bobby said, well, I can assure you he doesn't forget them immediately. Like, yeah, you beat yourself up and then you rebound and then you go on to the next one. It's one of the mental mind bleep that is being a quarterback when you can single-handedly win a game, but you can also single-handedly lose a game. Like CJ almost single-handedly lost the game for the Texans last week, but then he came back and he won it. With the helps of Kaimi Fairbairn, which, as one of you guys pointed out, he proved he was human today. I know. I'm glad he got it out of his system. You know what? You never know. These streaks sometimes you worry about. Like, all right, is it going to start to weigh down on a guy psychologically? He got it out of his system. Even though he had missed a field goal, not all that, but it was a long one. So, yeah, whatever his streak was for not missing a field goal, less than 40 yards, I'm good for it. And Eric came back. I'm a realist. They haven't played a clean game until today. I'm hoping for the best, but that Vikings game messed me up. It should. The Vikings game should have messed you up. I think but the Texans very clearly are a team right now, and I would include today. I think today was still sloppier than I would prefer. I'm not going to complain about it one bit because they did so many good things that it overcame the sloppiness. But I think they've been a reminder that, man, between youth and free agency, it's never simple in the NFL to just plug in all the pieces. Think back to various times where with Tom Brady in Tampa early in that season, the offense wasn't quite clicking the way it eventually would. And it's easier to be philosophical about it right now because the Texans are 5-1, and we can appreciate that it could very easily be different. They could have a losing record right now with a few different bounces of the ball. But I've seen progress and growth. The offensive line. I'll credit the offensive line with pass protection today. Look, I know they weren't facing the old Eagles or the Bears or anything like that. But CJ had a lot of clean pockets and a lot of time. It was when the blitz started to pour on that the Texans had trouble. They had a hard time versus the blitz, both in the run game and the pass game. At least one of the sacks was, I don't want to say it was on CJ. It was just a really well-timed late blitz. And if I recall properly, I think CJ had his back to the line in play action. So he just got blindsided by somebody who wasn't accounted for in the blitz pickup on a late blitz. That stuff happens. Good play call. Credit Gerard Mayo and those guys. But really good game for CJ Stroud. Very good game for CJ Stroud and the rest of them. At least we won and fine in Boston. Yes. People acting like the Texans are the Cowboys. I don't know what that means. Cleaning up the penalties is always a positive. Yes. Oh, and Blake Fisher. He's gone right tackle to left tackle, shown a lot of improvement over the last couple of weeks. I look forward to watching him individually. So please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, my goodness, and you're watching this late in the video, what are you even doing with your life? Thanks, everybody. Probably going to watch the highlights later just for